Hello and welcome to the Europe Conversation. I'm Stefan Grover. Today I'm joined by the man some observers believe has the toughest job in Brussels, the EU Commissioner in charge of Internal Affairs and Migration, Magnus Brunner. Welcome to the program. It's great to have you here, sir.
Thanks very much. Thanks for inviting me.
So, what makes your job so tough?
Well, probably, tough. Some people have also tough jobs, of course, but no, but it's really a topic, of course, which goes to the heart of the people. And that's why it also goes to the heart of the governments in all 27 member states. And that's why it is a topic where we have to find solutions also, where we have to deliver in order to restore trust also to the people in Europe, between the member states on the one hand, but towards the citizens as well. So, yeah, there are other tough jobs as well, but the topic is, of course, quite challenging.
So getting the new EU Pact on asylum and migration over the line until next summer is your most important task right now. Why should we all believe that this is better than all the other initiatives over the past 10 years?
Yeah, it's the first time that the member states agreed on something, on a basis. The pact is a good basis. It's not perfect, of course not. There were some missing pieces as well. But I always say it's better to have 70% than 0%. And that's why we have to get the pact implemented. That is really important. That is key. The member states are on track. There are some challenges, of course, until June 2026, but we are on track. And it's important to implement the missing pieces, like return regulation, like safe third country, safe country of origin. That is also important. That's what we presented as well. But implementing the pact is key. The member states have agreed on that, and it's a very good basis. And after that, of course, we have to further develop the whole policy.
You mentioned the return mechanism. There is the controversial idea of return hubs. So the idea to send individuals who have no right to stay in the EU to a third country. Where are we on this? Who should negotiate here and who should be the partner on the other side? And I know that Germany and Greece are now talking to countries in Africa, for example.
Well, our role here as a Commission is to pave the way, to have the right legislative framework also, and that is what the return regulation is about. We presented that quite quickly, actually, in the first 100 days. And now it's in the Parliament and in the Council, and for the Parliament and the Council to have an agreement at the end of the day. But it is important because we have the situation that only 1 out of 5 people who are illegally in the European Union are actually being returned, which is not acceptable, I would say, and which the people in Europe don't accept, which I totally understand. That's why we have why we need new rules. That's why the regulation is really important. And yes, there are possibilities for the member states to look into new solutions, new innovative solutions. And return hubs is one of it. So paving the way, making the framework and making it possible for the member states to look into possibilities like return hubs is key, and that's what we did with the return regulation.
But you don't want the EU Commission to negotiate on behalf of all the member states?
No,
right?
We can support them, of course, when it comes to agreements with third countries, where we put migration also on the table. This migration diplomacy, I think, is key. But, of course, when it comes to concrete agreements, then it's for the member states to negotiate that. They have to send us the agreement beforehand so that we make sure that all the legislations are met and all the functions are met. That is important, the safeguards which are there, but it's for the member states to discuss. What is good, I think, and what makes me optimistic, that some member states work together there and try to find common solutions, which is good, and we support that as a Commission.
So under the new rules, EU countries must distribute among themselves at least 30,000 asylum seekers per year or pay money, make a financial contribution. What happens if all countries opt for that second option?
Well, we'll see. I mean, we just delivered the solidarity cycle, the mechanism, just 2 weeks ago. Where we define which member state is under which pressure. All member states have different challenges. All are sort of under pressure, but of course in different ways. Frontline member states have a different challenge than member states with secondary migration, for instance. So we try to, and we have clear rules on that in the Pact. It's a clear mechanism, and that's what we presented 2 weeks ago to the member states, to the Council, and now it's the Council to decide also. And that's to your question. It's then negotiations between the member states also, in which direction they are going, but for the Council then to decide, hopefully in December already on the solidarity circle.
I mean, the question was, of course, a little provocative. Not every country will do that, but we have two countries, Poland and Hungary, who have already said, we're not taking any asylum seekers, we're not paying any money. So what are the consequences if this happens?
Well, just take Poland as an example. Poland is under pressure, of course, because they're in the eastern border side. Hybrid threats coming from Russia and the Belarusian side. I saw that firsthand when visiting the Polish-Belarusian border, saw that migrants are actually used as a weapon, as a hybrid weapon against the European Union. So we see that they are under pressure, of course. And also they took a lot of Ukrainians, so they were very helpful there as well. They integrated very well in their labor market. So they did a very good job. And we acknowledge that they are under pressure. So Poland doesn't have to take any migrants. There's no worries about that.
And Hungary?
Well, Hungary is a different topic, because Hungary decided or told us not to take part in the Pact implementation, but then they don't benefit on the other side. So either you take part, then you benefit from the solidarity if you are under pressure. And as I said before, it's not perfect, but Hungary could also benefit from the Pact, and the whole European Union benefits from the Pact, because we have better external border protection, we have safer borders, we have asylum procedures at the borders already. That's actually what all member states ask for and what the Pact delivers. Hopefully Hungary will also look into it and look into the benefits they have from implementing the Pact on the one hand, but also from the other regulations and legislations we delivered already.
So illegal immigration in the EU, and that's what we're talking about here, fell by 35% between 2024 and 2025. And there has been a 95% decline on the Western Balkan route alone. And according to the Austrian government, for example, illegal migration is currently hovering at around 0%. What has led to these numbers? Is irregular migration still an emergency?
It is still, of course, yes. Numbers are going down. That's good. That makes us optimistic also. You mentioned the numbers, 35% in January in the last year.
And that is even before the new pact is being implemented.
Yes, but we send signals already, and we have agreements and agreements with third countries as well, and that's exactly the point. On the one hand, it's the stability, of course, in countries like Syria, for instance. That helps, of course, that helps. And then also agreements with third countries. Just to give you an example, Mauritania, for instance. We have an agreement with Mauritania, and the numbers were going down immediately. And now we have 0 departures coming from Mauritania, just to give an example. We have other challenges, of course, and other challenging countries, but it helps. So bringing our European house in order is the first step. That's what we have to do with implementing the Pact, with the return regulation, with Safe Country and others. And then the next step is the external dimension, negotiating with third countries and putting migration on the table when it comes to comprehensive agreements with third countries.
Despite all these positive developments that you just described, migration is still a massive discontent among citizens, and it still drives election campaigns. How do you explain that? Has migration policy become a political punching bag?
Well, you can see, and what you mentioned is of course completely correct, that it's at the heart of everyone. It's a topic where everyone is of course worried about also, which I totally understand, because 10 years ago the European Union and Europe altogether took a lot of responsibility when we had the crisis in Syria. A lot of responsibility, but we didn't have any rules. We didn't have a system. We didn't have control over what is happening in the European Union. And now with this pact, with the new legislation altogether, we try to get control back. And what your question is, in the direction your question was going, we need the trust of the people back. And with having control, with having rules, with having a system, we try to get the trust of the people back, between the member states also, but also to the people in Europe and to the citizens in Europe.
Well, same with Schengen, right? Whenever there were some migration issues, some countries closed the borders immediately. Is that trust building as well? Is that the way forward here? If Schengen becomes a thing you can pick whenever you want?
No, of course, Schengen has to work, and I think Schengen is one of the best examples how Europe can work, the best achievements we have in Europe, and it has to work. What can we do to make it work again is exactly implementing the Pact, because in the Pact we have the protection of our external borders. That is key to get rid of the internal border controls, and that's what the member states know. Of course, there was pressure in the last years, so I totally understand that some member states had to take measures there as well with internal border controls. But our aim altogether is, of course, to get rid of these internal border controls to make Schengen work, and Schengen is something which, of course, has to be developed all the time. We have to keep Schengen going and growing also. And it's still very, I would say, very interesting also for new participants of the Schengen area. Like we had Romania and Bulgaria just joining. We had Croatia joining. So a lot of member states want to join the Schengen area, which is great, which is a good sign, because it's about free movement. It's about better economic growth also. And but we have to make sure that we protect our external borders, and that's what the Pact is all about. And giving the member states, in this case, the trust back that we have control over who comes into the European Union and who leaves the European Union also. And just to mention one thing on the Pact, because that's also very important, our entry-exit system. We didn't know in the last years who actually, on a digital basis, who comes into the European Union, when and where, and who leaves it again. And now with the entry-exit system, which we just introduced and started 5 weeks ago, where we already have more than 8 million registrations in the first 5 weeks, which is a good sign. So for the first time, we know who actually comes into the European Union, when and where, and then who leaves the European Union again, when and where. That is important, because that's how we hopefully get the trust back, because we have control over what is happening.
One hot topic, especially in Germany, is the repatriation of people from Afghanistan. And what is controversial here is the fact that the government needs to talk to the Taliban in Afghanistan, the new rulers. Where do you come down on this? Is it legitimate to talk with the Taliban in order to get people home?
We have to differentiate between acknowledging that there is a government, respecting the government, which we don't do, but not getting engaged with third countries, even though we don't like their governments and the way they're doing things, is still important. So on a technical level, I totally understand, and we support that as a commission as well. Our people, our experts were there in Kabul also to talk about possibilities, because not getting engaged means it doesn't get better. So yes, it's not fun, it's not easy, but not getting engaged is not an option. So yes, I do think we have to talk to these countries, even we don't, of course, recognize them as a government, but we have to talk to them. No option not to talk.
So it is necessary to talk to countries that have a bad track record.
Oh yes, it is still necessary on a technical level. As I said, we do that. Some member states do it with Afghanistan, for instance, and we had these examples with criminals and posing a security threat to the European Union, to member states. And I think it's legitimate to send them back and to find solutions with these regions or countries, to find solutions to get them back to their countries.
Yeah, let's take a step back now and talk about the future of migration and how you see it. Because getting people back is one thing, is also the fact that we need people, we need skilled labor just to keep our countries safe and prosperous. How do you think about that? Should Europe approach countries like Australia and Canada with quota systems, etc., and then they select certain professions that they need rather than others?
Yes, we have to distinguish between the illegal migration part, which we have to do everything to fight against, because it's a business in the meantime for smugglers, for human traffickers, and that's what we have to fight against. So that's the illegal migration part No doubt about that. But then, of course, we have the legal migration part, and we need legal migration for our labor markets, of course, as you mentioned rightly. So finding legal pathways to come to Europe, but that it's us to decide who comes into the European Union and not the smugglers and the traffickers. That is, I think, key. And then, of course, we have some humanitarian responsibility also, of course, when it comes to asylum seekers, of people who are whose life is in danger, who are threatened by death in their countries. Of course, there we have another obligation. But distinguishing between those three topics is key. It's not always easy. But bringing our European house in order against illegal migration, only then I think we have the chance to find legal pathways. What we do on the legal part is we have issues like talent pools, for instance, which we just decided on in the trilogue between Parliament and Council, where we had a decision already, a positive decision. We have talent partnerships with third countries. Just to give you an example, we were in India as a college, where it was also about partnerships. How can we adjust also our partnerships there? And the Indians told us, we have a very good education, but maybe our education doesn't always match the skills you need in the European Union, in the economy there. So adjusting there is something very, very concrete, but also with other regions in the world, of course.
Recently, you have met the Pope in Rome for an exchange of views, and you've said that the dialogue with the churches you consider a task that is very close to your heart. What do you expect from this dialogue? Well,
I had a very good meeting with the Pope, which is, of course, for me as a Catholic, also quite a very exciting moment. But when it comes to substance, it was a really good discussion and meeting we had, because we are on the same page, actually. Respecting human rights, respecting fundamental rights, yes, but also fighting the human traffickers and getting control back in Europe. And I think the Pope totally agree with that. And also to distinguish between the different forms, the illegal part, the legal part, and the humanitarian responsibilities.
The Pope, of course, has backed the U.S. bishops in their criticism of the Trump administration and criticized the methods of that very radical migration policy and also the lack of respect for individuals. Do you think that the Pope should get into this political arena and take sides?
It's not for me to judge what the Pope has to do or doesn't have to do, but I think the Pope is a very important and strong voice, of course, in the world, which is important, and getting his view is always good, I think. And that's why I was very happy to have this conversation with him. We take that very seriously as a European Union, of course, and the balance is always important. On the one hand, getting control back, showing the people and getting the trust also back of the people in Europe. And on the other hand, of course, respecting fundamental rights and human rights. But both can go hand in hand and has to go hand in hand. But fighting the illegal part is so key in order to get the trust back and to get control back.
The Pope and you have one thing in common, that is the love of tennis. Is it true that you gave him a set of tennis balls with the EU logo on it?
I did, yes. We thought about.
What did he say?
Well, we thought about the present which we bring to the Pope, and I knew that Yannick Sinner, when he played in Rome, gave him a tennis racket. And of course, that's great for him. And then we thought, okay, it would be a good idea to give him the balls also with the European Union flag on it. He was very pleased, I think. At least he laughed at our president.
You were president of the Austrian Tennis Federation.
Exactly.
Fancy a match with the Pope one day?
I'd love to have that, of course. That would be a lifetime dream. Of course, that would be great. No, but I'm not sure whether that's possible. But
well, when you get that, you'll be back on the show again.
Yeah, we'll see what the outcome is. But yes, I'm an incredibly keen tennis player, at least, and I used to be president of the Austrian Tennis Federation, and my whole family is a completely keen tennis family.
All right, Magnus Brunner, EU Commissioner for Internal Affairs and Migration. Thank you so much for a great Europe conversation.
Thank you very much.